Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will start with the first agenda item, which is link crew.
Good evening. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the board members and cabinet that's here. Last week, we had a rough week at the high school, but with all of your support, it helped that week go just a little bit better. So thanks for that support from last week. Tonight, Mr. Hagan and I are here to share a program that we feel will bring our students together, offer support, community, and most importantly, give them a sense of, or help them have a sense of purpose. Last year, as you know, the high school administration visited a number of schools in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We found along the way great programs, we met a lot of great people, and we saw some visionary practices. And one of those schools was Souderton High School that we visited. The principal at Souderton High School, Sam Verano, felt very strongly about one of the main reasons that his school he felt were so successful, and that was the program Link Crew. So when I returned from Souderton, I myself did some research on Link Crew. I shared it with my administrative staff, the principals at the high school, and they immediately supported it as well. I chose Scott Hagan to lead the program in the research and bringing folks on board because he will have the freshmen, he's the senior principal now, but he'll have the freshman class next year, and it will be with those freshmen that we really primarily focus the implementation of Link Crew on initially. After tonight, I hope that you have a basic knowledge of the program of Link Crew, and we look forward to your support with a program that we feel very strongly will support our students. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Hagan.
Scott Hagan, Bedminster. So when Ms. DeBona came back from the visit to Souderton, she explained what the situation was, and I went in just to search. I wanted to see what Google had about it, and it took me to a link which was in the PowerPoint, not in the PDF, that has a great 5-minute video that explains virtually what the entire process is for developing a link crew at the high school, at our high school, or any high school for that matter. I came here 7 years ago, leaving Central Bucks South High School, which had a very active advisory program where students met on a daily basis with a mentor teacher. And we've kept that, and Dr. Creedon and through Ms. DeBona, we've always talked about how can we develop some kind of piece in our program that would link students together to provide a support for them, not in the general assembly of a class meeting of 600 students and some advisors and some counselors and a principal, but in a smaller situation led by mentors, by someone that is respected in the building and can provide some leadership for that student. And I think when you look at the things that Pennridge does with our guidance department, with Naviance, and our College Career Center, our student ambassadors, when we have a new student that comes to our building, they're given an ambassador to help them find their way around the building. We do a summer walk around with our freshmen when they come into the building. We have an orientation. We do a number of different activities, but they're all standalone activities. And when I learned about Link Crew, I really felt that it just brings all those things together and creates an atmosphere. And more I read about it, and we'll go through these slides, but the more I read about it, it kind of brought me back to that mentorship piece that I had seen when I was in Central Bucks. But it makes it much more student-centered. Instead of teacher-centered leading students, it's using the leadership qualities of the upperclassmen, our juniors and seniors, to get them to build upon what we have inside this huge building. So, Danielle, if you will. So, I'm not sure if you're all looking at what's up on the screen now, but Link Crew, it's an orientation program, but it's not a 1-day, a 2-day, a 3-day orientation. It's a year-long process for all of our incoming freshmen. It's supported by the students And it's both academic to give kids the idea, what it takes to be a successful student and learner in our building, but it also provides some social follow-ups. How are you doing getting around the building week one, to the point of getting them to join different social groups and clubs that we have here. And the student leader initiates a lot of those contacts. And when you watch the video and you see the timelines at the end, you'll see how it's not prescribed, but it's spaced out and spread out throughout the year, so it's a constant cycle.
Can we watch the video here? We have the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I have it up here. If at the end you want to come back down here and get into the seats, and we'll pop some popcorn and you can watch that video gladly. If not, we can send it to you so you can watch.
So we'll watch the video at the end of the...
That's fine with me, yeah, absolutely. So some positives, and through the research I've done, it talks about promoting school safety, the anti-bullying messages that are provided throughout, student-to-student mentorship, which I keep coming back to, which is important to me, increased attendance, decreases discipline referrals, and improves academic performance. And those last three things, the attendance and the discipline, as a grade level principal, those are two things that take a large chunk of my time, or any administrator's time, when 60% of my discipline referrals in a given marking period are based around attendance issues, lateness to school, class cuts, things like that, and absenteeism in general. When I'm dealing with about 350 discipline referrals in a 45-day period, that incorporates a lot of things. Anything that would decrease those numbers gives me more of an opportunity as an administrator to get into classrooms to continue to work with our teachers on that instruction, hence improving academic performance with our kids. This one is a little blurry, but it talks about some additional positives, and the last thing that's listed there is social and emotional learning. With that being a keystone here at Pennridge since Dr. Ragomo's tenure has begun, bless you, the social and emotional learning there. I think it's really important that we do, again, a standalone activity or different events that happen throughout the course of our year. But if we can build those things into a program that is kind of a revolving, spiraling effect, I think we're going to do all of our students and teachers a lot better situation with improving our social and emotional learning skills. These are just two of the schools that they talked about significant changes to their discipline, their attendance, their discipline referrals, and most importantly, failures. I haven't had freshmen. I can't speak to being the assistant principal of freshmen. Mr. Schoonover had them for 18 years or so, and then we started with this house system. So now, Mr. Lebowski has them this year, Mr. Ott had them last year, and I'll have my turn with freshmen next year. But I know, with being door to door with Mr. Schoonover and hearing some of those concerns, and the instructional support piece of looking at students with D's and F's, looking at the referrals, the tardiness, the attendance problems, if we can improve those and decrease those numbers in 9th grade, I think we're setting ourselves up for greater success as they move forward. Mr. Boner and I spent about a half hour on the phone with Matt Haynes, thank you. I was thinking McHale is his last name, Matt Haynes, over at Soderman. And we talked about the process that they're in. They've been doing the link crew there for 8 years. They suggested that we have 4 people attend that meeting, that training that's offered by the company. And they're going to be a mentor to us as part of the implementation plan. They suggested that we find a nuts and bolts kind of person. That would be me as the administrator. An MC, which I've tapped Mr. Simpkins, who is one of our physics teachers who ran our pep rally this year. He's a DJ and a side business. He's got that personality, that bring kids and get kids excited about things. To involve a counselor and one of the class advisors. So I think it's important that we looked at who these 4 people or 3 other people would be, and I think we've identified a good group of people to be the core team. That's the video. We'll come back to that at the end. So our next steps. The closest training is in Southbury, Connecticut in April. It's a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We would arrive on Sunday afternoon. And our core team is right there, as I said. Mr. Flanagan is a coach for us here at the high school. He's also doing his administrative internship, and he felt that one of the ways that he can learn from this would be to sign on to be a class advisor with me for the next 4 years, or depending on when he's certified, if he does get a job somewhere with that. Mr. Henderson is one of our counselors, and again, Mr. Simpkins. This is what the timeline looks like. It's a little blurry from this distance. I don't know if it's me or if it's the shot itself, but it kind of goes through month by month how we would plan, and that's what the workshop does. It's the curriculum of Link Crew and developing your plan of attack for that year. So we would identify students that would be Link Crew leaders, junior and senior leadership, and that would be done before the end of this school year after return from the training, and then we would do some planning over the summer and get ready to roll this out for the fall. We're hoping to get this to develop into the advisory program. We've had a couple ideas that we've talked about, how to almost reconstruct homerooms so that we have 4 generations, if you will, to have 4 grade levels in a homeroom so that you have that built-in mentorship. We're going to be identifying about 60 Link Crew members, a 1-to-10 ratio, approximately 600 students in the incoming freshman class. We want to promote student leadership. Again, these are great resume builders and leadership positions inside our building for when students go and they're applying to colleges, and they can write about this experience they've had as leadership. It is a costly training, but I think we've figured that out on the budgetary end between Dr. Price and Mr. Muller. And it's part of the Boomerang project, which is the greater piece, and that's something that I think in due time, once we process this Link Crew, Boomerang does a lot with student of the month type activities, leadership breakfasts, things like that are run in conjunction with the Link Crew, from what I've learned. Any questions? Actually, we should probably keep the questions till after you watch the video, because I'm pretty thorough, but I think that a 5-minute video can answer a lot of questions too. So if you want to come back down here and recognize this is a promotional video made by Link Crew, so it's to hit all ages.
USB, sorry. There we go.
Can you remember how it felt when you first entered high school? The excitement, the apprehension.